I take it you had a very, very good weekend. Tell us about the significance of this decision by FTSE.
Good morning, Tracy. Obviously, this is a very important decision for Kuwait. It validates the efforts and the long planning that was put together by the CMA in Kuwait and implemented by a dedicated team that worked hard for the last 2.5 years between the CMA, Boursa Kuwait, and Kuwait Clearing.
So we at Bloomberg have seen estimates for the amount of inflows this decision is expected to generate, ranging from about 600 million to 822 million. That's based on an expected weighting of about 0.5%. How much are you estimating or forecasting in terms of inflows, and where do you think your weighting is going to come in?
I think this is premature to discuss specific figures or percentages, as this is obviously in terms of the percentage weighted as announced by FTSE. More of the technical information will come through in March 2018. However, I think from several meetings we've had with international investors, whether in Kuwait or abroad, we sense that there is a great interest in the market. Obviously, a lot of the infrastructure issues needed to be addressed before international investors can feel comfortable and confident in entering the market. And these are the steps that we've taken so far. I think there will be a tremendous interest coming through, whether from index trackers to FTSE itself, or I think by others who have been waiting to look at some reform and changes in the capital markets in Kuwait.
Mishaal, I am going to ask you about those capital reforms, but before we move on to that, setting aside FTSE for 1 second, we do have another decision, another potential decision from another benchmark index provider that is, of course, MSCI. When do you expect you might see MSCI inclusion?
We honestly have been engaged in dialogue with all index providers, whether it's FTSE, MSCI, or S&P Dow Jones. The dialogue is continuous. We supply them with information and updates about the reforms we take on the ground. Obviously, they have their own channels as well to go back to in terms of investors and market intermediaries to get their feedback. S&P, for example, Dow Jones put us on a watch list for a potential upgrade in 2018, earlier this June. And the dialogue with MSCI is continuing.
Now, you mentioned the many reforms that you've been undertaking to your capital markets to make them more attractive for foreign investors. What else do you have up your sleeve? Is there more to do on that front?
Oh yes, I mean we've put together a three-phased plan for infrastructure reforms for the capital markets. What we've implemented thus far is the first phase, which came live in 21st of May this year, and that basically allowed us to satisfy all the requirements for the FTSE upgrade. Some of those were the unifying of settlement cycle to T+3, reducing tick sizes, international standard corporate actions, custodian rejection, and so on. We still have, for our plan to finish, 2 more phases to be implemented. The second one is planned to come in Q1 2018. And that will include some significant changes to the market itself, the exchange. There will be a segmentation of the market to 3 different segments, Premier, Standard Market, and Auction, new circuit breakers on stock and indices, an OTC platform, introduction of repos. So those are all going to come into effect in our second phase of implementation. The final phase really tackles upgrading the post-trade structure to the standard set by the principle sets by the Bank of International Settlement and the IOSCO organization, basically establishing a central clearing party, SCCP, for cash and derivatives, a clearing membership for market intermediaries, as well as introduction of full international standard derivatives. That is expected to come in hopefully by the end of 2018, early 2019.